Do I even still know how to do this? I don't know. Clearly I didn't, because I didn't even notice that there was something in the corner of my mouth the entire time. That will be there for the whole video. Sorry, I'm not gonna re-record. So just don't look at it. Hi, welcome back to this kinda dead channel. I'm Jamila. This is JemilaBeReadin, because I do be reading. And would you believe me when I say I forgot that I make content online? I posted a video last week when I'm filming this. We'll see when it gets posted. But that video I had filmed at the end of June, and I have not filmed anything this whole summer. I've been living my life. You know, I haven't posted on here. I haven't posted on Instagram besides my stories. I haven't posted on TikTok really besides friends only. So, but I'm here. I'm back? Question mark? I hope so. But like I said, you know, I've just been living my life, you know. But anyways, I have been reading, and I have not posted a wrap-up since my April wrap-up. So I thought I'd let you know what I've been reading the last few months. It'll be everything I read May, June, and July, and hopefully I will timely post an August wrap-up in a couple of weeks when August is over. In any case, yeah, let's just talk about the books. I didn't read a ton in May. I only read 4 books. I started off with Rouge by Mona Awad. This is my first time reading from this author. It's following this woman named Belle. Her mother recently passed, and she is returning to her hometown in California to go to her funeral and kind of pack up her apartment and grieve and all of these things. And while she's there, she discovers that her mom was a part of like this really bizarre like spa community, and she gets kind of sucked into it and begins doing these really bizarre treatments that have some bizarre side effects, and she starts recounting some things from her past. It's a really strange book, but it worked for me, I think. This is one of those books where I'll like give it kind of like a middling star rating, and with time it either goes up or remains more positive in my memory, or the opposite. And this is the one where it remains more positively. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. With time, I still am fond of this book. I gave it around a 3.5 stars. Maybe it could be a 4 stars. I feel like I would need to reread it, but I was intrigued. I was intrigued by what was going on here, the themes that the author was, I think, exploring. I like the kind of dark fairy tale vibes of this book. It's not fantasy. I don't know that I would even call it magical realism. I mean, weird things are happening and they're not really explained, and you don't know if it's real. It's one of those kinds of books. But I don't know. I liked it. I had fun talking about it. We read it for my local book club, and it was a really intriguing conversation. And I am interested in reading more from Mona Awad, but I tried to read Bunny once. Maybe it just wasn't the time for me. Maybe I should revisit it, and I'm not particularly interested in All's Well, so maybe I'll be looking towards her future books. We'll see. Kind of in a similar vein, I read Woman Eating by Claire Coda right after this, and I don't know if that maybe did a disservice to this book, because I didn't like it. I gave this one 2 stars. It's following our main character, Lydia, and again, another kind of book with a weird speculative thing going on, and also exploring mother-daughter relationships. So Lydia is embarking in her life on her own for the first time. She grew up with her mother and lived with her mother through some of her adulthood. She's like in her mid-20s now and is going off to live on her own and do some sort of like art fellowship. She's an artist, and she also happens to be a vampire. Now, that really does not play much into this. It's obviously like used. It's very clearly used as a vehicle to talk about, I think, maybe eating disorders, body image, all of that kind of stuff. I just don't know that it really did it well, or like utilized the speculative nature of it to talk about some of these like metaphors. I don't know. This book, I don't think the author knew what they wanted to do with this book. It just felt so aimless and pointless. And while you might maybe say the same thing about Rouge, at least it was a wild ride through and through. I was just so severely bored reading this book, and it just felt so aimless to me. And it's a short book, and it took me like over a week to read. So, not my favorite. Then I read An Autobiography of Skin by Lakeisha Carr. This is a novel, allegedly. But really it's 3 short stories that are kind of interconnected, and we're following various Black women in East Texas in a particular kind of neighborhood or like town, and we're just, you know, looking at their life. This did not last long for me in my memory. Like, I kind of like forgot about this pretty quickly. What it says on the back is that it is a multifaceted examination of life as a Black woman, full of both humor and sadness, but most importantly, possibility. I don't know that that's a great description of this book. I only really liked the second story, which was very dark. It was extremely dark, but I thought it was the only one that felt like it utilized its short amount of space well. Like, the first story was too short. The third story was too long, and I thought the second one was the best paced, but it was rather dark. But I think it did a good job of showing like this, like what it's like to be the mother of a Black child, particularly a Black boy, and all of the fears that come with that, and the lengths you will go, like how it'll like twist your mind sometimes, and the lengths you will go to protect your child, which could inevitably cause harm to your child. But in any case, that was this book. I think I ended up giving this like a 3-star. It really didn't stay very long in my memory. It didn't leave a mark on me too much. And the final book that I read for May was Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. This is an adult contemporary romance about people. Ama Torres and Elliot Bloom. Of course, he's a florist. She's a wedding planner. They were in a relationship at one point. This is a second chance romance. And they had a bad breakup for reasons, and now they are reconnecting because they are working on the same wedding. And I didn't like this book. I was really disappointed because, again, I really like the cover. But I also have like a lot of mutuals who I won't say completely have similar romance tastes, but, you know, similar enough that I'm like, okay, this person really liked this book, I'll go check it out. So that was a little disappointing to me because I really didn't like this book, and I thought both of the main characters were stupid as fuck, and I was like, I need you guys to get your shit together right now. Oh, I couldn't stand them. I give this one 2 stars. This is the, I think, epitome of second chance romance done poorly. And that's because the entirety of the romantic development, the tension, everything relied on the past relationship, the previous relationship. There was, dare I say, maybe 1%, even that seems like too much, but 1% relationship development in the present tense, okay? All of it was done in the past, and I hate when that happens during second chance romances. It takes a really skilled author, I think, to pull off second chance romance, because you have to have a good balance of past and present relationship development. I want to know why they liked each other before, and I want to know why, after many years, they still are meant to be with each other. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that this did a good enough job of doing that. And I also just did not care about either of these characters, so that didn't help either. So 2 stars, I personally would not recommend. I had some back-to-back romances that I didn't like. So first book I read in June was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. You know what? curiosity. Curiosity gets the best of me all the time. I want to know what people are loving and talking about. I want to be in on a part of the conversation. And, you know, not always. I have never read a Colleen Hoover, at least to completion. And I have never read a Sarah J. Maas. And even though sometimes curiosity, I feel it bubbling up, I want to be a part of the conversation, I'm like, no, I'm protecting my time and my peace. I'm not going to do that. But I will read a lot of shit that's not good. I will say that. But in any case, Abby Jimenez, she's everywhere. Everybody's talking about her. Everyone's talking about how much they love her books, how it has more depth and more emotion than your typical romance book, I guess. And so I was like, let me check this out. So I picked up Part of Your World, which is the first one in this series of interconnected standalones. And I didn't like it. Surprise, surprise. I didn't like it. Honestly, I can't even remember why anymore. I read it and I promptly forgot about it. I don't have it. I think I got it from the library, but it's about like a doctor, and she, I think, got out of like an abusive relationship, and she has a bad relationship with her parents, and she is like, gets stuck in this small town one day and meets this dude who's like 10 years younger than her, and he's like a woodworker. I don't know. He's doing something. And the whole thing is like, I can't be with you because you're younger than me, and also I'm a doctor. I don't know. It was so stupid. I also didn't care about either of these people. And I didn't like him. Everyone's talking about how much they loved him. But every time she would like try to have a conversation with him about like the abusive relationship that she was in, he would suddenly be like, I would never do that to you. And it's like, okay, can you just let her talk it out with you? What do you mean, like, I would never do that? Like, shut up. Ugh. I just got pissed all over again. Anyways, another flop that I read. I'm just kidding. It's not a full flop. I shouldn't say that. But I did read The Sword of Kaigen. I did. And I talked about this in the video that I just posted, where it was talking about my mid-year book freakout tag or whatever. I talked about it there. If you want to go hear more thoughts, I'll just send you to that video. And there was someone who commented saying that they did want a standalone review for Sword of Kaigen, but it's been a couple of months now, and I feel like I don't have as much to say anymore, so I might just make like a shorter TikTok video. So for you lone commenter who wanted that standalone video, go follow me on TikTok. Sorry to send you somewhere else, but I'll probably, hopefully, maybe post a video over there talking about my thoughts on Sword of Kaigen. But this one I gave like a 3.5. I don't know. Like my very short summary of my thoughts about this book is that I think that the world building and the pacing of the plot was not good, but the character and the character developments were really where it shined, and I wish we had more. Yeah, and it's also very clear to me that it's not actually a standalone like the author claims to be, because that, again, going back to the world building, it did not feel like developed enough for this to be a standalone on its own. In any case, let's keep it pushing. Another romance I didn't like. I'm striking out this whole summer. I was like, I'm excited, I'm reading romance, and a lot of flops. A Love Like the Sun by Rhys M. Nielsen, another book where I kept seeing everyone raving about it, my mutuals, and I was like, you guys, don't lead me astray again. Unfortunately, they did. This one is about this woman named Lanaya. She lives in Providence, which is in Vermont.
It's in Rhode Island.
And she owns a hair care business with her mom, and it's struggling. And at the start of this book, they're like contemplating closing down. And she has a best friend who's like a super famous like model / potentially actor who lives in LA. He comes home to visit, and he realizes that the business is struggling, and he doesn't want his friend Lanaya, what's his name? Xavier. No, it's Isaac. Sorry. Isaac returns, right? He doesn't want them to lose their business. So he decides to like fake date her and post about it on social media because he's really popular, so that people will go to this hair care. I don't know. I feel like the setup was very contrived. It's basically fake dating, childhood best friends to lovers situation. And again, I'm a friends to lover girly. I love fake dating. The setup is contrived, but I would have went along with it. Okay. One, it is single POV following Lanaya. First red flag. Second red flag. He spends the majority of this book across the country. I would say for a solid 70 to 80% of this book, they are not physically present with each other. And there's not a lot of texting or like FaceTime. There's not a lot of consistent communication going on between them. I don't buy it, bro. Why? Why do they need to be together now? It just, it didn't feel like a romance. There were parts of this, like Lanaya's own personal journey, especially she is dealing with like an unknown chronic illness, and she is fighting with her doctors to try to figure out what it is. And that is based on the author's own personal journey. And I really appreciated that part of the book. And I liked that part of the book. And I liked it when it was just like about Lanaya's own life and treating it more of just like a contemporary fiction or like women's romance book. But like the romance, not women's romance, women's fiction. But the romance in this is just not there. And it pissed me off because it's like being marketed as a romance, but it's just not there. And it just didn't make sense why they suddenly decided, like, clearly they were both in love with each other the whole time. But I'm not buying like why this was the moment for them to decide to be together now and not in other times. Do you know what I mean? Didn't work for me. Oh boy. One that did work for me, but I know is not working for a lot of people, is Little Rob by Akweke Emezi. This, much like most of Akweke Emezi's books, another controversial one. There are people who really do not like this book. I am not one of those people. I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I feel like it could have been a 5 stars had I not compared it to other Akweke Emezi books that I read. I liked others more, so that's why I decided to give it a 4.5 stars. But I just thought this was so interesting. I like the way that Akweke Emezi explores darker themes, like even some taboo themes. I just like the way that they do that. I think it's interesting. I think it gives it enough weight and gravity. And I think that they're so good writing characters and doing character work. Like, I think this is a masterclass in character work. It's following 5 POVs, each one extremely distinct. Basically, it's one weekend in Nigeria when some shit goes wrong, and we're following these 5 people and how it affects them and how they're all connected with each other. We're in the elite underbelly of this Nigerian city. And it's just, I thought it was interesting. I was intrigued. It was a lot. And I highly recommend checking out the content warnings, which I always have links to where you can go find content warnings in the description. But I would definitely check them out because there's a lot of intense things that happen in this book. And I was left staring at a wall after I finished it. But I liked it. So take that with a grain of salt. Then I was very busy with work and was feeling very stressed, and I really wanted to just reread something comforting, so I reread Graceling and Fire. I've talked about the series a bunch of times, so I'm not going to get into it. I still love them. I don't really have anything new to add in this moment, but I do want to continue and reread Bitter Blue and finally get to these new books that I haven't read in this series. Eventually. And the final book that I read in June is Cinema Love. This was another book that I read for my local book club. This is also following multi-POV. It's a little bit historical. We're starting in the 80s going through present day, and we're following various people starting in a rural Chinese like village. And we're following this, well, we kind of follow this cinema where queer men are able to go and get together and be with each other. And something happens to the cinema, and we're watching the kind of fallout and the impact of that. And we're following various characters. We are in rural China, and then we're in the United States, and it's definitely a commentary on queerness, immigration, finding your place in a new country while also dealing with trying to figure out your identity and how to live your truth. And I did not think this one was particularly memorable, I will say. I think I ended up giving this one like a 3 or 3.5 stars. It was fine. I was enjoying my time while I was reading it, but I didn't think much about it afterwards. So, okay, and we're finally in July. I only read 3 books. The first one I read was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Again, I've been hearing so much about Lisa Jewell, which is so interesting because she's been around for a very long time, and it's so curious to see, I guess, younger generations getting into her books. It definitely feels like the type of book that your mom reads, so it is really interesting to see how popular she's gotten with the more younger generation. But this one came out last year. Everyone was talking about it. I decided to pick it up for a video that I didn't end up following through with, but I did read the book. And I give this one 2 stars. Didn't like it. Not really interested in checking out more from this author. This one is following 2 POVs, Alex and somebody else. I forget her name. But they meet each other in the bathroom of a restaurant. It turns out that day, it happens to be both of their 45th birthdays. They are birthday twins, and they were actually born on the same year and in the same hospital. And if you think that has any significance to the rest of the story, you would be wrong. So don't read it thinking that might come in later on. Just letting you know. I know it's a spoiler, but I was sitting there waiting for that to be a relevant plot point, but really it was just the catalyst of the story. And Alex is a somewhat famous podcaster who does podcasts interviewing various women who have persevered and really worked their ways to success. And this other lady, I forget her name. I want to say Catherine. I don't think that's correct. In any case, she listens to her podcast, and she tells her, like, you should interview me. I'm about to change my life, and you should get in on the ground floor. And Alex is like, okay, I guess. Okay. And we just follow them filming this podcast and Alex getting to know this other lady and all of the secrets and weird shit that's going on with this lady and her life. And we're following her POV too. And I didn't like the ending. This could have been just like an easy breezy domestic thriller. I probably would have given it like 2.5 or 3 stars had it not ended in the way that it did. I don't know if this was the intent of the author. I'm guessing it's probably not, but the way that it ended made me feel like it was being sympathetic towards someone who is a edophile, and it was weird. I just don't know. It just felt very distasteful to me. I think it really lacked any sort of intentionality or compassion or nuance or just care when talking about some of these topics. It felt like it was there for shock value and to just be like this, oh my God, look at this crazy thing that happened. But these are serious topics that it's like talking about. And I just don't think the author really, again, had any care to tell this story in a meaningful way. And I think you might think, oh, it's just a popcorn thriller, whatever. I still think you could handle these topics in a more careful way. And I don't think the author did that. So 2 stars, honestly, maybe even a 1.5 star. I think I gave it a 2 star because it is so compulsively readable. I read it in like a day. So anyway, then I read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and I don't know, guys. Am I becoming an Ali Hazelwood fan? How did we end up here? I don't know, guys. she's grown on me. She has, you know? It's like one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? She's not problematic as far as I know. She seems like a nice lady. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just be a fan. Even though objectively it's not like great quality, you know, but it hits occasionally, not always. But this one did hit for me, and I know a lot of people are talking about how this is like different than her other works. It is to an extent, but I still think it has the same like Ali Hazelwood vibe to it. But this one is definitely a little bit more spicy, a lot more sex scenes. It's a lot more physical in nature. But I think that's what I thought was so interesting about this book, in that the development of the relationship was very physical to start, which is not something I usually like. But I liked that it, like, the physicality was like used to develop the emotional, and you like got to see the emotional development. I don't know. I just really liked it. I really did. It hit. It's following these two characters who are about to meet up for a one-night stand, and it doesn't quite happen because something interrupts them, and they end up finding out like the next day that the dude, I'm forgetting their names. I've already forgotten everyone's names. I'm like, I love this book. Don't remember anybody's names. The dude is like a scientist who also like works at a venture capitalist firm or whatever. They're like trying to buy out the tech company that the girl works in, and there's a lot of tension there because she's like loyal to her boss and the founder of this company, and then so she's like, oh shit, I like this dude, but like he's trying to take it. It was a little bit contrived, I will say, and the like twist, it's been done by Ali Hazelwood already. But everything else, like the relationship development, I liked it. I did. So I give this one 4 stars. Anyways, the final book that I read in July, and the final book that I will be talking about in this video, was Silver Under Nightfall by Rouge. Another book that I'd been seeing a lot of people raving about, a lot of my mutuals raving about. I was once again excited. It was let down. I don't know what's going on this year, guys. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Is it me? Am I the problem?
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama.
This one I am going to give a 3-star. Maybe a 3.5. I'm not sure. Not sure I'm going to read the second book because I've heard that it is not good. But I am curious to see how the story is going to end. I do like the characters. But this is following Remy. This is like, I don't know, Victorian. I don't know the difference between those two, sorry. It's olden time. Think Castlevania vibes, okay? That, and there are also vampires, so apt comparison. So Castlevania vibes and time period. And Remy is a vampire hunter. And he's also a part of one of the, like, the families. God, I'm so bad. Clearly I don't know how to do this anymore because I can't even describe books anymore. He's a part of, like, he's the only son of the Duke of Valenbon. He doesn't have a good relationship with his father, and there's a bunch of vampire hunters in this world, and they don't like him because they all think that he's like a half vampire because his mom like ran away and then was found pregnant with him, but she was like potentially with a vampire. Anyways, as far as I'm aware, he's not half vampire, but I don't know. And yeah, so there's a new kind of vampire, that like a mutated, almost zombie vampire situation that's shown up in this town and in this world. And Remy meets these 2 vampires who are the heads of their respective vampire courts, and they are also engaged with each other. His name is Zidan Malik, and we also have Xiaodan Song. They are together, and they team up with Remy to figure out what's going on with this weird mutated vampires while also boning down with each other. It is a poly relationship, you know, and that's what first attracted me to this. And it took It took so long for them to finally bone down, and it's not like I only read this for that. I was intrigued by the plot, but it took so long, and then it was almost fade to black. I was disappointed by that. I was. But really, this is a long book, and this book is trying to do so much. So much is happening. Dare I say there's too much action. Too many action scenes. I love an action scene. I love a fight scene. There was too much. Too much was happening. It was one thing after another. I was exhausted. I was. And I kept waiting for them to bone down. I was. And I just feel like had this book been around 100 pages shorter, it would have been better. I don't think it needed to be a duology. I don't know what's in the second book, but maybe it could have been a trilogy. And I'm saying that as someone who is tired by series these days in my elder years and love the idea of a duology, but I think maybe make it a little shorter and then make it longer books. I mean longer series. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I like the characters. I also didn't buy. I understood why Remy and Xiaodan liked each other. I understand why Zidane and Xiaodan like each other. I don't understand why Zidane and Remy. I don't get that. Because where's the relationship development? They're just hating. They're hating on each other. They're fighting. They're duking it out. And it's like, sure, sexual tension's there, but where's the emotional development? I don't know. I think it could have been better developed, but I am happy with the poly relationship. Anyways, will I continue? I don't know. We'll see. I know a lot of people who loved this first book hated the second book, but I was like middling about this first book, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe they actually are more similar quality to me. So we'll see. In any case, those are the books that I read the last few months. I hope that I get better at describing books again because, I got a little tired there. I've been filming for like 35 minutes, and you might think that's not that long. I'm new to this. I'm returning to this, and I've really lost the plot of how I was ending this. I'm a little hot right now too. I had to close my windows because there was noise. But in any case, hello and goodbye. And I will see you in the next video, hopefully.